Good morning. It's so good that though I can't see you, I sense you. And I'm glad that you're on the other side of this telecast. I wish you were here, but you're not. But you are here in another way. And I want to thank everybody who have gathered today. We're going to be involved in a very interesting Bible study lesson presentation today. And response drives it from the class. If you have a question, I want to thank Brother Moore, who is going to be my IT statistician this morning, who will help to give us some insight on your question, or at least share with us what your question is. And prayerfully, we can give an answer. But before we begin, as always, we ask the Lord's blessings on our time together. Even now, Lord, even now, help us in this moment, in this hour. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. There was, as I shared with you, if you were with us last week, we are dealing with 2 case studies, and the topic of question is it judging? I'm going to work from the back forward. I'm going to start at case study number 2, because case study number 1 is going to have a whole lot. And so I just thought that we would begin on the back end and then end up on the front end. Amen. Here is the case study. When are you going to clean up this hog pen we live in? Every day I tell you how nasty you are, and you would think by now you would have done something about it. I'm embarrassed to bring my friends over, much less anyone from church, because you know how they gossip. You come home from work and all you want to do is sit in front of that television, eat your dinner, and fall asleep. I can't even get you to wash your clothes. I don't know how many times I've shown you. We don't go anywhere together anymore. When Deacon Jackson wants to go anywhere, you get excited about being with him, but you never you never make time for me. When was the last time we went anywhere? You make me feel like all I do is fuss and complain. Are you listening to me? And another thing, oh, don't worry about it. Hey, honey, says Arnold, what time is dinner going to be ready? Now, let me lay a foundation before we get responses. There are 3 basic questions I believe that we should ask and answer when it comes to the matter of judging. Number 1, we need to ask, do I understand what it means to judge? Do I understand what it means to judge? Second, is the method that I'm using to judge a person or a situation within the framework and meets the biblical definition of judging? In other words, are you judging a person or a situation or a circumstance from your own personal perspective, or is it from a biblical perspective? Yeah. Here's what's key. If we're going to be what we say we are, and that's Christians, and if we are governed and guided by the book, then the book should give us the direction we need in relationship to this matter of judging. If you're going to deal with judging and call it Christian, make sure that the Bible backs you up. And then thirdly, how would the Lord Jesus Christ see the situation of the person that judgment is being decided on? How would the Lord look at it? Not through your eyes, but how is it seen through the eyes of the Lord? Those are 3 very critical, very important questions to ask. And I lean in again on the very first one. Do you really understand what it means to judge? Is the judging that you are using Is it yours, or would the Bible agree with the judging and the judging system that you use? When we gather back again, I'm going to biblically explore and seek to explain how the Bible defines judging and how do we deal with it from a contextual perspective so that we're not found on the error side of God's word, but that we are walking in the right understanding of God's word. So, until that question has a biblical base and a biblical understanding, a biblical foundation, and maybe even a biblical response, could we be engaging in human judging as opposed to biblical judging? Very important questions. I mean, if you really want to be right by God's word, you all ain't saying nothing. If you really want to do it God's way, you still ain't saying nothing.
Yeah.
Then it might call on us to reassess and reevaluate how we engage in judging. I've read the case study. There are two pending questions that are begging for an answer or a response. I first asked, list reasons why you believe this is judging. And then I asked, list reasons why you believe this is not judging. So I'm opening the floor, prepared to hear what your responses are. And I pray you will speak loud enough, and if need be, I will repeat what you said so the folk on the other end of the camera will be a part of this session today. So, who responded? Someone? Anyone? Yes, ma'am, real loud.
Yes, I believe it's judging.
She believes it's judging.
But I don't believe it's biblical judging.
She doesn't believe it's biblical judging. Why would you say you don't believe it's biblical judging?
Because I think this is just a person who is being critical.
Critical.
Self-serving.
Self-serving.
Domineering.
Domineering.
And verbally abusive.
And verbally abusive. Whoa!
Yeah.
Watch this, if I may enlarge on it. This is not just two people going at it. This is a husband and a wife.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, that takes it to another place.
Yes.
Yeah, in a marriage.
Yeah.
Domineering, verbally abusive.
Yeah.
What else?
Self-serving.
Self-serving is what you're hearing. And what's the next one?
And I think that the person who is doing the talking is kind of lazy themselves.
All right. So Arnold's wife, in this instance, we didn't give her a name. I just call her Arnold's wife. You know, like in the book of Job, we just say, you know, Mrs. Job. I'll just say Mrs. Arnold. Mrs. Arnold is what again?
Critical.
She's critical. Self-serving.
Lazy.
Lazy. That was the one I'm looking for. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Speak real loud.
The way I look at it, I don't think she was being judged. She was just frustrated.
Okay.
And because you get frustrated, that don't mean you're lazy.
All right.
You know, it's like he doesn't want to do anything at all.
Okay.
She's doing everything.
She's speaking from a perspective as though she's doing all of the cleaning in the house.
Right.
And she's sounding off because she's frustrated.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this is getting good. Hey, Bert, what you got?
Okay,
Talk real loud for me.
I'm looking at where she says that whenever Deacon Jackson wants to go in and play.
Maybe what we need to do is get you a mic.
No,
I need you to talk loud.
okay, I'll speak louder. Okay, when she says that we
Okay.
When Deacon Jackson comes, you up and go.
All right.
And what I'm thinking is that maybe she's not a Christian.
Talking to Mike.
Maybe she.
When Deacon Jackson wants to go somewhere, he gets excited.
He goes. He gets excited and he leaves.
He goes to Deacon Jackson.
But he takes her nowhere.
He takes her nowhere.
Maybe he's ashamed of her, or maybe she doesn't fit in as a Christian. Maybe she's not, maybe she's not. Maybe he is, maybe she isn't.
Okay, so now there's on the table on question, is she a Christian? In light of that whole situation, where the relationship matter of going places with Deacon Jackson,
But being ashamed to go with
but is he ashamed to take her anywhere?
maybe because she is all the things that, like Sister Kathy said.
Okay, and let's look at that. Here's a beat down. And we're just going to keep it in the framework of the lesson. A man who continues to be emasculated, verbally, stripped. His manhood is taken away by a wife who is a chronic complainer, lazy, what else? Self-serving.
Verbally abusive.
Verbally abusive. We didn't even put a timetable on how many times a week this kind of conversation exchange takes place, or how long he's had to live under oppressive and suppressive conditions.
Yeah.
Powerful. I saw it. Yes, sir. Real loud.
Okay. Now, also, when we read this case study, we have to think about she's entitled to her opinion.
All right.
She's very opinionated.
Okay. You're saying,
on the circumstances that's going on.
based on the circumstances,
Right.
you're saying from a judging perspective that she's opinionated.
Right.
She has a right to have her opinion.
Right.
But does she have the right to put him down?
No.
Does she have the right in her frustration to fire at him at will?
No.
Ah.
No, she doesn't.
Ah. Yes, sir. Real loud.
Here's another situation that's similar to Mary and Martha when Jesus came to visit. And I think it was Mary that wanted to go and sit with Jesus. And Martha was complaining because she was doing all the work. And all Mary wanted to do was talk with Jesus. It depends on what the other person is doing during that time. That's from a biblical standpoint.
Even in that illustration between those two sisters.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Trying to frame my thinking. How important it is, even in one's disappointment, how they respond in disappointment. Lazarus has been dead. They sent word. He didn't show up. One has an attitude.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other one goes to him and speaks to him and lets him know, Martha it is, that if you'd have been here, my brother would not have died.
Right.
Again, Mary in the house, angry, but won't address her anger to the Lord.
Yeah.
I could move into that a little bit, but I won't bite on that temptation. Someone else, and that's very important. Even from a biblical perspective,
Yeah.
do we not get angry with the Lord because he doesn't do what we think he ought to do?
Yes.
Or how he ought to do it, or when he ought to do it, or why did he let this happen?
Yes.
Because she is saying, had you been here,
Yes.
this would not have occurred. Well, she can't prove that. We make great assumptions about God's response to us in our situations and assume what God will do when we have not heard from him based on what has he decided to do. And God's response is not always what we embrace.
No.
Yeah.
Someone else. Yes, ma'am. Pull your mask down.
I would say not judging because it's a fact. She didn't go around and say the things that he wasn't doing that she didn't know. She knew what he wasn't doing. She knew all of these things. And she knew that he didn't take her anywhere.
Okay.
It's not that she just came up with that.
Okay.
It's a fact. She knew
Okay.
that.
She is stating fact.
Yes.
However, look at the tone and the tenor.
Yeah.
Okay? And no matter how factual something may be,
Maybe she,
it can come across
Yeah.
maybe she started
when we're
off,
angry.
she started off nice.
She
But after
started
a while,
off.
it went on and on and on
Yeah,
and on.
yeah.
That's
Look,
enough to bring on frustration.
keep on looking. You know, she didn't stop, but how long has it been going on? How long has some stuff been going on that folk been living with
Yeah.
Yes.
until it gets to the boiling point? And then when they deal with it, they don't deal with it from a healthy or even a biblical perspective. Let's talk about interpersonal relations. Sometimes folks wait till they get angry to start telling you what's on their mind. It's been on their mind all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it is escalating.
it escalates, it builds, it blows up,
Yeah. It festers.
and it gets out of control. Yes, ma'am.
And this is, no, it's not, they're talking together, it's not a dialogue, it's a
Conversation.
monologue.
Yeah.
And, it's like the person is talking at the person and not.
Instead of two.
Okay, so we here talking at it, not to.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot in this that we can draw from that has the odor of judging.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Real loud.
You can say things that are true, but if you lack love,
Say that one more time.
you can say things that are true to you, what you feel. But 1 Corinthians 16:14 said we should do all things in love. I don't see any love in this.
Okay.
She's past, she's frustrated, upset. It don't even matter no more. She's venting. Okay? And it's hard to ever get resolution when you're venting.
Hard to get resolution when you're venting, and what else did you say, Pastor?
Lacks love.
Lack of
I
love.
don't see any love in it.
We don't.
You pick up your stuff. No, she passed that.
Oh yeah. And here again, we don't know the timetable.
No.
We don't know how long that's been endured.
Right.
But it's kind of like when the person could easily help to eliminate by doing what is needed from the other person.
Working together.
Working together. Working it out. Communicating. This is good. Yes, sir.
Why come he couldn't done some of these things that he's fussing at her about?
Why couldn't she have done some of the things that she's fussing at him about?
Yes.
Every day.
What do you infer from the layout of the vignette, the story, in regards to her involvement by eliminating some of this stuff?
Yeah.
Right.
Now, we talked about communication,
Yes.
cooperation in the relationship. Let's just play devil's advocate even in the Lord's house. Could it be that she's been doing this so long that she feels like the Lone Ranger, and all Tonto is doing is sitting on the horse looking and enjoying the results, and she is sick of it.
Yeah.
Because she said every day.
She is saying, she's making it known. This ain't, in other words, this ain't first time that I've said this to you. And it's almost like she is saying, how many more times do I need to say what I need from you before I get from you what I need from you? Some people don't know how to talk in order to get what they want and need from somebody. And so many times they let it just keep building layer after layer after layer, and only one or two things gonna happen. Either they become numb over time, or either when the volcano blows up, all of that lava pours out. And the problem never gets remedied. Yeah. It only stays the same, because the response outreach is, see, there you go. Yeah. Always fussing. But who's listening to what is the cry of the person that's crying?
Pastor.
Yes, one more.
Sister Motais has a question.
Talk real loud for me. Sister Motais raises a question. I'm listening.
Because something is true doesn't necessarily mean that it's factual.
Wait a minute. Because it's true doesn't mean it's factual?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to take issue with that. Now, if it's true, it's got to be factual. Because if it's not true, it's a lie. Okay. Facts are true. Now, let me help her on that one. Because it's true does not mean that you like it.
True. That's right. That's right.
Just because it's true doesn't mean that you accept it. Good case in point. I thought about this one. If I pull my shoes off, and in less than 15 seconds, let's say Brother Norman is standing here and he smells foot odor. Is he judging because what he smells is true? Does it remove it from being factual? It doesn't remove it from being factual if foot odor is what's in the air. I don't have to agree with it, but it doesn't stop what he smells.
Right.
His reality does not mean that I embrace it, though it could be real. For somebody's reality is another person's fantasy. Yeah. Or non-willingness to accept the facts. Yeah. Let me share with you what I pulled out of it. I pulled out some things she said. When are you going to clean up this hog pen we live in? I responded, frustration fueled by anger and disappointment that have not yielded any satisfactory results. That's clear. The tone and tenor of her statement is, Arnold is to blame for the unkept conditions of the house. She states that he makes no contribution to the cleanliness or the care of the house. Is it really all his fault without knowing the complete facts, without hearing from Arnold? Next thing, she says, every day I tell you how nasty you are, and you would think by now you would have done something about it. Look at the statement, the accusation. You would think by now, which says that this has been ongoing for quite some time. Yes. Arnold has become numb to her rants and her put-downs. That's not to say that she doesn't have a legitimate defense in what she sees. How she addresses it and the frequency every day, it ain't working. Yeah. What will it take for him to respond to the situation? That's the question. And I responded with, ask him. Here's something else. Yeah. Is Arnold tired in more ways than she knows? Because he says every day he comes home, he's tired. He sits, watches TV, and he eats. He doesn't do anything. We don't know what kind of job Arnold has. Right. Arnold might be wore out physically and mentally. Don't say nothing about she go to work. Unknowns here. Arnold could be at a place where he's tired of the folk complaining at his job, and when he gets home, that's all he hears is a nagging, complaining wife. Look, this is just made up. There are several key problems in this picture. It's been stated there is a communication problem, but there's also a relational problem. How they relate to each other.
That's the biggest problem.
That is the biggest problem. Well, we can almost say communication and relational are running a close tie. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
At the bottom it says, and another thing, oh, don't worry about it. So all this complaining, okay, don't worry about it. It's done with. Don't take me seriously.
Wow.
Let's go on, have dinner.
Wow. And it's almost like Arnold says, okay, I know what I'm going to get. I know she's going to rant. I'm going to let her have her moment. And then she comes to this conclusion. Oh, well. And then he says,
What time is it?
hey, baby, what time we going to eat? It's almost like, let her get it out. Let her say what she wants to say.
Now let's eat.
Because I'm going to still get what I want when it's all said and done. I got to hear this. I got to deal with it. But when it's all said and done,
Get my dinner.
I want my dinner, girl. Come on, y'all. Yes, ma'am.
In that case, it go in one ear and out the other.
It went in one. It might have went in this and then jumped over. And then like, oh well, let's just keep going. It's kind of like we've been working our way through the 7 letters to the churches in Asia Minor and Revelation. And at the end of them, we'll be working on the letter to Thyatira on Sunday, the 3rd church. Let him who have ears to hear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. And that ain't just about audible. That means line up under what you know and understand to be instructional truth. Arnold ain't lining up under nothing. His feet under the table. That might be what lined up under all we're going to do.
Get that meal.
All you want to do is eat.
Yeah.
And so let me ask this question, let me poll the house. How many of you here said that you believe it's judging? Raise your hand. Y'all scared.
No.
I'm gonna call you bluff.
You tell
How many of you say that it's not judging? Raise your hand. How many of y'all don't care? All right. Let's look at the next one because this is a lot more involved. A lot to be said about this. Mary sits quietly at her desk getting work done when Veronica, her best friend and co-worker, just happens to stop by with the need to talk. You know, Mary, we've been friends a long time, girl, and I need to talk to you about a few things. You got some time? Why, sure, Mary replies, what seems to be on your mind? Well, says Veronica, if I didn't care about you, I wouldn't say anything, but I need to tell you that some of the people at church have a real problem with you. They say you stuck on yourself and feel you better than everybody since you got your promotion, your new car, and your house. Haven't you noticed some of them have backed off being close to you? You don't seem as friendly as you used to be. You've even slacked off and participating in women's ministry. Every time we ask about you, you're too busy for us. You don't have time for us anymore. It wasn't like that 3 months ago. You don't smile much anymore since you broke up with Frank. You're not, ain't no Frank over there okay, I'm glad ain't no Frank. All right, I don't want nobody getting the wrong information. You're not the Mary we know. We think something is wrong, but who are we to judge?
Yes, sir.
Some people are saying they're going to leave you alone since you seem to be acting distant and cold toward everyone. We sure do hope that you get it together. I know this is a bit much. You don't have to say anything because I know what you're thinking. But just in case you want to talk, give me a call. Let's jump in this, y'all.
Yeah.
Oh, 'cause I got some stuff to say. I want to hear from you first.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Real loud.
I believe it's judging.
You believe it's judging on the basis of?
She's saying what she feel is going on and don't know all the facts.
All right.
She don't know if this new promotion has taken more of her time.
All right.
That her mind is filled with other things.
All right.
But she's looking from the outside in.
All right.
And not taking on all the facts and the ramifications of what this new promotion entails.
All right. Wow.
I agree.
Wow. Wow. Amen. Yes, sir.
At first, you start off talking about what the other people say and think.
Yeah.
But oh, when you get to the bottom,
Yeah.
we think this, we think that. So really, she was assuming what other people thought, but she was saying she included herself in what they think.
Oh, this gonna get hot up in here, Very true. Yes, ma'am.
She was said putting the judging on the church, like he said. But then she said we. Let her know that she was in there judging too.
Yes.
And then at the end, she acted like she was concerned about her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad to add on in here because we're going to heat it up in here today because these are realities. This weak mess. Oh, I got a lot to say about that. Yes, ma'am.
A lot of the pronouns like the I and the they, is really me. This is a judging. I believe it's judging because it's a personal.
So you believe that Veronica is jealous of Mary?
Yes.
Though she's hiding behind and co-aligning herself
Put the blame on the other.
behind what other people, and watch this, because here's where it can live. It's coming not from the folk in the office, it's coming from the people at the church where she worships. Yes, ma'am. What else?
And not only is she relaying this personal message herself, she doesn't even want to hear what Mary has to say about it because she said, if you want to talk, call me.
Wow.
I don't have time now.
Dogs that bring a bone will carry one.
After you dump all of this on you, you're going to run.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, ma'am. Pull your mask down, talk real loud. Use your Bryan Street voice.
Yes, when she keeps referring to we, the people at the church, she's not being a friend, she's being a spokesperson.
All right. Okay.
And she has no clue whatsoever what people at the church are thinking at work. She's the one who's doing all this stuff.
Okay. Can I build on that for a second? Let's look at that. Veronica, have you all ever seen a ventriloquist act?
Yes.
The dummy,
Stool pigeon.
the person, stool pigeon. Oh, I ain't heard that in a long time. Is that though there is a voice projected out of the dummy, there's somebody else that's giving voice that is being heard. And she is being used, hook, line, and sinker. And that happens a whole lot in church. And people in church know who to use and what to say, who to say it to, so they can get it back to the person. And some even go around the person to get to a weak person in the church or persons in the church that will listen to that mess. And I call it mess because that's exactly what it is. It's messy, and there are messy people in churches who do not have the guts, the spine, or But as my grandmama would say, they know how to throw a rock and hide their hand. The problem is they fail to realize the fingerprints are on the rock.
Yeah. Amen.
And it destroys relationships. Many of our churches are destroyed from the inside out, not the outside in.
Yes.
We ain't worried about the world bothering us. It's one another we got to be concerned about.
Yeah.
Who's saying what? Why won't they address the problem from a biblical perspective? If you got an ought with your brother, go to him, you and him alone.
Yes.
Alone.
Yeah.
It didn't say nothing about have some caucus meeting.
No.
No.
It didn't say nothing about have some groupie meeting.
No.
It didn't say nothing about meeting out in the parking lot. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna call, I told you this is gonna get uncomfortable. Because there's a whole lot of church chatter after church that's happening in folks' face in parking lots about somebody back in the building that they don't have the godliness to address them. But they will set up plots and set up ditches and wait for somebody else's fall to occur. And then come back with, I told you something. You don't get off the hook. You don't get off the hook to destroy somebody behind their back. How you in good conscience go to church with the folk that you don't like, or even the pastor that you're talking against?
Amen.
I got a pastor in the room. He know what I'm talking about. There ain't a pastor nowhere that ain't under attack by at least one member in their church that they seek the pastor who doesn't have the Christian backbone to come and say, here's what I got a problem with you about.
Yeah.
Oh, but they know the weak folk.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Where they go?
Let me call my posse.
Yeah.
Right.
And let me poison my posse
Right.
against the preacher.
Yeah.
In this instance, it's Mary who is unfortunately the victim of vicious and venomous speech.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir, Pastor.
It's obviously judging because she came to her with a conclusion about all her issues. She didn't ask her, "Are you okay? Because you're facing something, are you dealing with something?"
Right.
She already came to the conclusion, well, you got a promotion, so you think you're better than
That's
everybody.
exactly right.
And you lost your man, so you don't want to talk to
That's
nobody.
exactly right.
Lost your man too?
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
already come to a
I'm just
conclusion.
That's
You
right.
know,
Right,
and
down.
it could have been none of those things. She
That's
could have
right.
been terminally ill.
Yeah.
She could have had bad news with her family. It
Yeah.
could have been anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she already came with her mind closed, saying, "This is what folk think, and I'm kind of with them. Call me if you want to talk."
Absolutely.
That's not free.
Wow.
No way. No way.
Wow. Wow. Man, this, you know, this is real stuff.
Yes, it is.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think Veronica, the spokesperson, I mean, this might be just her own personal, although it's her own personal thoughts, she's ended a lot of relationships with Mary and different people in the church because now Mary is looking at them in a different light because she thinks that they're looking at her in a different light.
But they don't have all the facts.
Right.
If they wanted to know, if the we group wanted to know the real,
That's right.
just like Veronica came to Mary, what prevented them from doing the same thing?
Right.
Right.
Now, there are some folks, I heard something the pastor was saying, and I'll say it real quick. There are some people who specialize in everybody's business but their own.
So true.
I mean, just downright nosy.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
Why is it their concern that she lost her man?
Yeah.
Ain't none of their business. How many people are trying to have a life on somebody, out of somebody else's life because they ain't got one?
Right, that's what it boils down to.
Pastor.
They ain't got a man and can't get one. And so they're going to hate on somebody who had one and lost them.
Right.
Okay, let's just keep it real.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you this is going. This got a whole lot of uncomfortable stuff in it.
Yeah.
But it's real life stuff.
Right.
You may not hear about it, but there are some people that are walking with a limp that have got to live with the after effect and still go back to the same church.
Yeah.
And look at those same folk week after week.
Yeah. So true. So true.
Same hymns, you understand?
Oh my. Work on the same board.
Oh, yeah.
Work in the same choir.
Oh, yeah.
Work in the same groups.
Yeah.
And you know you're dealing with a rascal.
Yeah.
You know you're dealing with a two-faced person.
Yeah.
You got to deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who stops to ask the pain, like Pastor said, Mary is in?
Yeah.
Who cares enough?
Yeah.
If they were that concerned, they'd went to her.
Yeah.
And look at how folk build stories that may not have an ounce of truth to it.
Yeah.
Like you said, that lady could be dealing with a bad report from the doctor.
Yeah.
And so she withdraws.
Yeah.
How come the person in the women's ministry ain't called her to ask her how she doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Two ways.
You really want to call this thing out?
Two ways.
How come the folk that are running the Veronica so concerned when they ought to be able to go to Mary?
Yeah.
How easy it is for some people in these groups that they run in to form ideas and presumed judgments and speak negative about someone or ones and don't have all of the facts.
Right.
And so now in the life of the church, now Mary is a villain.
Right.
People are acting standoffish. Well, wait a minute. Then apparently this thing got in the ears of some other folk who don't even know Mary, but they're going to respond to Mary based on what those other folks' reports say about her.
Yeah.
Don't even know her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all see how serious this is?
Yeah. That's right.
I think I saw another hand.
Right here.
Yes.
And also,
Real loud.
also taking it to the relationship realm. How does she know this breakup wasn't amicable? You know, it just could have been a breakup. You know, she's saying you lost your man, but you don't know the facts. They could have both went their separate ways because of the job, relocation, and what have you.
Exactly.
And they don't even know.
Don't even know. And then let me add to that.
What they
It ain't none of their business.
What they business.
Right.
Why you always up in somebody else's house? Take care of your own.
Yeah, exactly.
Can always talk about what's happening and somebody what they all do. Let me tell you what you need to do. You need to get off the phone. You need to quit being nosy.
Yeah.
You need to get a life.
That's exactly right.
See, this is the kind of stuff people don't want to hear. But nobody is stopping to think about the long-term damage and destruction.
Yeah.
Did you not know? And I see you three hands. Let me say this real quick. Mary could easily leave that church and be done.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't hearing me.
Yeah.
All it takes is the right folk with mess. Because messy-minded people don't think about the damage they do. They just want to vomit, and they don't care about the smell.
No.
and somebody else has got to live with it. Now it becomes an unnecessary. It's kind of like in the Old Testament when a person, I forget what it's called, when a person killed another person, they would, to talk about punishment, they would take the body, this is a real fact, they would take the body, the dead body, tied to the living person, and let the dead person kill the living person. There are some folks that specialize in tying killer stuff and watch people die a euthanasia death. Because ultimately, they want them dead in the first place. You got to start looking at some stuff. Why do you involve yourself in that in the first place? Look at what it says about you. Sister Brown, and then Sister Nolan, and then, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I believe a wound from the church hurts more than a wound from the world.
Wow. Yeah. There are a lot of folk that are living with church hurt. And some of them never recover.
Amen.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very strong point. Sister Nolan.
When Mary needed her best friend Veronica and her church family the most, they decided that they were just going to leave her alone because they didn't act like the way she was acting.
Wow. Talk about abandonment. Wow.
All because of what Veronica said.
Oh, wow. Look at the power of influence. Wow. Talk about stopping a runaway rhinoceros. Yes, sir.
Pastor, basically you covered it. More so, now Mary's going to be upset with people of the church. And it's not everybody in church. Even if there was some of the people.
Very good point.
It wasn't all of the church. As far as she's concerned, that church, people in that church.
Yeah, you're right. I wish I had $1. I did. Very strong point. Very well taken. How many times is there a stereotypical statement made, suicidal at that, on a body of people when it's just a couple of messy folk? And now some innocent folk are indicted when they had nothing to do with it. Now, again, that church. Now, wait a minute. Call it out. Call out the wolves. Call out the hounds. And too many people are protecting wolves in the pen while they are eating up good sheep. Y'all ain't hear what I'm saying. And so you want to know why your church ain't growing? It ain't because of your pastor. You got wolves inside that are eating up good sheep and causing other folks to not want to even go to the church where you worship.
People in that church.
You think people want to go to a church where they stand criticism because of a house, a car, a job, clothes? They can stay at work and deal with criticism. They don't need to be coming up in the Lord's house having to worry about looks and then parking lot conversations that eventually catch up with their name on it. And then they wonder, where that come from? Ain't done nothing to them. Sometimes I said this before, I said this in my comment. A whole lot of judgment is nothing more than jealousy in another set of clothes. You get too much than some folk, live in a neighborhood better than some people, drive a newer car than some folk, wear newer clothes than some people. Oh, they think they something. Let me help you with something. They were something before you took an attitude toward them.
Same person.
Yes, sir.
Let's say this quickly. You know, when you care about somebody, and if you really care about them, you not only say the right thing, but you say it at the right time. Why would you bring this to her at work? And you're a friend.
We gonna get to that.
Why would you bring this to her
Exactly.
now at work?
Yeah.
And then drop it on her and say, well, call me later.
Yeah, call me later.
Yeah.
That's a bomb.
Can you imagine, Pastor, can I jump on that real quick? 9 o'clock in the morning, she gets hit with a tornado statement like that, and now she got to work through what she heard, and then she got to work through some other. Do I even trust Veronica?
Right.
Is Veronica a carrier for the group?
That's right.
Right.
Got to be careful what you say to Veronica now, because
Well, look.
she gonna run to some folks you don't even know.
Yeah.
Wow. And who is it to not say? Can I build on even more? Who is it to not say? You thought Mary was distant now? You ain't seen nothing.
Yeah.
You ain't got to worry about Mary no more.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, no more.
Yeah.
No more. Yes, sir, real quick, what you got?
Also, this takes judging to another realm.
Wow.
It takes it to attack
Wow, it does.
because she's attacking her character and,
Yeah.
don't even know.
Wow.
Don't know. the
Don't
fact.
care.
Right.
Think about this. If this we group, which has Veronica in it, did you all stop to ask, how large is it?
Right. Yeah.
And is it growing? What growth potential does it have? Let me say something early on before I address what you said. One of the things I despise as a pastor is when I got members coming to me with mess talking about people at church saying stuff.
What they say.
I'm going to say to everybody here, don't bring me no mess
I don't blame you.
about what folk are saying.
I don't blame you.
I don't want to hear it.
I don't blame
You can call me whatever you want. But if you're going to talk about they said, don't talk to me about nameless, faceless Casper people. Put a name on it. If you can't put a name on it, don't say nothing to me.
That's right.
And then if you care about me, you ought to be telling them, you ought to go talk to him yourself, because I'm not going to talk to him for you. Or I'm not going to talk to the folk in church for you. Call them out.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say.
Sorry.
Call the cowards out.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Personally, for you, how would you feel if you got somebody in your friendship circle, so you thought, well, they talking, excuse me, stop. They who?
Who is they?
And then let me say this, even some of the people in the they group with Veronica, they know how to circumvent and talk to weak people in the church.
To Veronica.
To say, well, you know what they're saying about brother or sister so-and-so or Reverend so-and-so. Which is to kind of test the waters to see, are they going to bite and join in, or either they're going to say, get out my face with that. I don't want to hear it. We need enough folk in church to have backbone to say to some gossiping people who are spineless and gutless. That's exactly what I said.
So true.
Two-faced at that.
And that's the truth.
Go ahead and talk to her. Don't bring that mess to me.
That's exactly.
I don't want to hear it, and I'm not going to entertain it.
You won't have to worry about him again.
And you can cut off
That's right.
a whole lot of that pipeline poison.
Exactly right.
Yes, ma'am.
Pastor, thank you for saying that, because that's what I found out. They know who to come to
Sure
and
do.
who not to come to.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure
Give
do.
me one phone call, that's all it took. One phone call. Don't come to me with, don't even want to hear it.
I don't blame you.
Don't call me. with
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Years ago, I stopped it.
Absolutely. Let me jump in real quick and show you. If Mary is Veronica's best friend, how do you in good conscience
Take that trash.
let other people wonder you with some mess
About your friend.
about your best friend. Let me make it personal, because I got another pastor. How in the world do you say you love your pastor and you let other folk in the church you attend bring to you some mess about it?
That's right.
Right, yeah.
That is so true.
That's right.
That's right.
Look. We need to have some folk in every church that say, don't bring nothing to me about my pastor.
Exactly right.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you might even need to tell some folk, if you don't like it here, why don't you go somewhere else?
Thank you. Thank
That
you.
might be a little too strong.
Thank you. Thank you.
But why you gonna stay here causing problems and creating mess? It's because you joined it and gave money and you've already decided you're gonna be buried out of here. When you're dead, you ain't gonna know it. You could be in a cornfield. You don't know. There's some people that got that kind of mentality. I was here before you got here. Be careful about deciding how long you're gonna be.
That's right.
You don't know.
No, no.
The person who you dislike might be the one saying the last words over you while you being dropped in the ground.
Yeah.
You better be careful with that.
That's so true.
So true.
Better be careful with that. Yes, ma'am. And then I'm gonna let you hear from me, and then we're gonna go home.
Okay,
And I'm gonna have to finish up some of my wife, because my wife gonna ask me that original question. What time? Did
well,
we
with
finish?
Mary and Veronica starts it off with, we. And then before it's over, now she's putting a disclaimer against herself, and she's saying they.
Yeah.
First it starts off with
Yeah.
we, then comes they.
Yeah. When she's got some phosphorus on her fingers, just like anybody else. Yeah, you've been in it too. Now, how do I look at you?
Right.
Exactly.
It's good to listen when folk are talking,
Yeah.
especially when they bring in mess. Let me share with you, if you don't mind, my evaluation of case study number 1. Is Veronica and Mary on the same page regarding their friendship? Does Veronica view her friendship with Mary the same or nearly the same as Mary does? Here's a statement she says. Just happened to stop by with a need to talk. When does an incidental drop by takes place without intending to stop by? This ain't no accident.
No.
It wasn't like you were in the neighborhood. You knew exactly what you were doing. Is this intentionally masked as coincidental? Oh yeah, by the way, I need to talk to you. No, you've been waiting for the right time. Just call it like it is. Let's look at Veronica's dialogue. If I didn't care about you, I wouldn't say anything. Well, how long have you known this? Caring about someone and listening to negative things said about them don't mix well. Or is that what, quote unquote, real friends do to each other behind their back? Here's another one. Some of the people at church have a real problem with you. Who are these nameless, faceless Casper people at church that she's talking about? How long have they felt like this? Why haven't they confronted Mary themselves one-on-one? Isn't that what the Bible teaches? Is this a cover-up for how Veronica is really feeling about Mary? And some other people could be nothing more than a camouflage statement in which Veronica is hiding behind?
Yes.
Did Veronica have a role in this moment with them? Did she add her thoughts and feelings and comments about Mary not fearing that they would get back to her? Is Veronica invisibly jealous of Mary disguised in speech like it's other people feeling this way?
Yes,
It's so easy to talk about this is what they say, but that's really you.
that's right.
Yeah. And then when you say, well, who are they? Well, I'm not going to name it. Well, then we got nothing to talk about.
That's right, because it's you.
The facts about it, you don't even need to get out the starting block with that.
Exactly right.
And then she says, we think something is wrong.
Yeah.
And I ask, we who? Name them. Identify. If they were that concerned, why haven't each person who is part of the we group come forward and spoken to Mary one-on-one? Then, but who are we to judge?
Yeah.
Is this not sarcasm at its best? Is there really jealousy lurking behind the scenes? If, quote unquote, they really were convicted of their behavior of judging, the question is, when does it stop? Haven't you already done what you are raising a question about? What serves as a basis here? Did what they claimed they saw and even heard coming from Mary make them take a look at themselves and even look at their own lives? If Mary was truly exhibiting these behaviors, I ask, well, why aren't they praying for her as opposed to praying on her and talking about her in their inner circle? What about the statement, I know this is a bit much? If Veronica is really being honest with Mary, why would she bring this to her? Or better still, why would she allow this stuff to stack up and now she feels it's time to talk? Somebody ought to talk to me.
Yeah.
Why didn't she give Mary a heads up even if she chose not to confront the people talking? And then what about the statement, you don't have to say anything because I know what you're thinking. Really, Veronica? Really? You know what I'm thinking. After you done said that stuff. If I was really your friend and if you knew what I was thinking, then you should also know right now how I'm thinking about what you, your nameless, your faceless, your Casper group said about me. Since you know what I'm thinking. If Mary responded to what Veronica told her, can Veronica be trusted to keep it private?
No.
Dog, bring a bone.
That's exactly right.
She'll never walk off with one.
No will.
From this point, can Veronica really be trusted while she seems to be playing both sides of the fence? Because that's exactly what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's using her friendship with Mary to milk what she can out of Mary, but at the same time, exasperate her. Oh, here's what everybody else is saying. And then she ends with, but just in case you want to talk, give me a call. Talk about what?
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about now? How does Mary see Veronica as a friend moving forward? Any comments? Yes, ma'am.
That's why in the very
Talk real loud.
in the very beginning of my comment, when I said about her being a spokesperson, that's why I said she's not a friend.
Couldn't be.
Because she wasn't a friend to begin with.
Just a wolf.
That's all. And she's close.
A wolf in sheep clothing.
That's it.
Dressing the part, talking the part, but not being the part.
Yeah.
There's some things best friends don't do to each other.
Best friend.
And she said best friend. Yeah. There's some things best friends don't allow other folk to say about when they can't hear it.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So actually there was a message in the mess.
Yeah. Don't trust Veronica and don't trust them.
That's right. But Veronica might have been the one doing all the talking.
Veronica could have easily been the one talking and disguising it as the folk at church.
That's right. That was her talking.
And now Veronica, we don't know whether she's gonna go back there or not, because she's I'm sure she heard, and she's on hypersensitive mode, paranoid, near paranoia. Somebody look at her too long.
Yes.
Yeah, it must be one of them.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're talking about. And now people become an innocent victim
Right.
of some messy folk. Wow. I just try to keep it real. Let's talk about real stuff. We've been around the block long enough to know this stuff happens.
Yes.
Some of us have been victims
Love it.
of some of this stuff. Any comments? For the good of the order. Yes, ma'am. Pull your mask down and talk to me.
Could be the fact that she wants to be in Mary's place.
Jealousy.
Be in her place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Job
Yeah.
and everything else. Then
Yeah.
you get the man.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Oh, my.
Well, one of the things that's disappointing
Yeah.
is when I hear people who are members of a church, same church, won't celebrate the blessings of God in the life of somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they done bought a new house. What are they going to do with it? Live in it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
You ain't giving them a dime on the mortgage
Right.
or the utilities. Why you worried about it?
Yeah.
When did that become your business?
Yeah.
There are a lot of jealous-hearted people.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna never come out and tell you. Just listen to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These are lessons that I believe that will help us to take a look at. Are any of us in this room part of the we crowd?
Yeah. Right. It's
Anybody in here, have you been sneakily and secretly in sabotaged speech?
yeah.
Been sending out your emissaries to say to them, to say to other people what you've been thinking and feeling, as opposed to clearing up and cleaning up some stuff you got a problem with somebody.
Yeah.
You know, in California right now, there was an oil spill.
Yes.
Y'all know about it. Yeah. Several miles long and wide. And it didn't take all day for the oil to get out.
No.
And while the rescue operation seeks to clean it up, there are some things that have already, some animals, innocent, that have already been destroyed.
Ineffective. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, that's the same thing that happens with a lot of weak talking folk in church. They don't think about the destruction it's going to cause. And when it's destroyed, you can guarantee resurrection or survival.
Exactly. Wow.
There sits Mary. Maybe Pastor, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Don't know what Mary lives with or going through, and now she got to deal with this mess from good church person and people who she probably might have trusted.
Yeah.
Probably.
Might even be working in the same groups in church with her.
Yeah.
Who asked Mary, how do you go back to the church you attend without having to hold anger and a grudge?
Yeah.
Whoever asked Mary, who do you trust back at the church you go to?
Yeah.
How do you even look at Veronica anymore? Because surely it's clear she's running with a group of folk. She ain't going to reveal their identity, but she will reveal what they say.
Yeah.
How coward, how spineless, how gutless. Because that's exactly what it is. And here's where the word hypocrite fits well. Girl, you know we love you. You can't love me while you lie on me.
No.
You can't love me when you're talking about me behind my back.
Yeah.
When you know my number, you know where I live.
Yeah.
You got an accessibility, but you avoid me, but you don't have a problem bringing in your inner groove. to say what you say about me.
Amen.
So you really want to destroy me. That's just bottom line, and then I'm done. They really want to destroy Mary.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, they do.
Yep.
And they'll go to whatever lengths they need to go to in order to accomplish it.
Yeah.
But there is a God.
Oh,
Yes.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
You got the last.
Oh, there is a day.
Yeah.
You got the last call.
Some folk ain't sick just because.
No.
Some folk ain't in bad health because.
Yeah.
Some folks are reaping God's wrath. And he ain't turned it up yet like he's going to.
Yes, sir.
See you week after next. Father, thank you for our time together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.